Hello, I'm Mark at Mark's Upholstery. As you can see, I've got another cushion project here, and boy is it a disaster. You look at this one, it's severely underfilled, and this one is one that somebody had shoved some 2-inch foam into, hoping to thicken it up and make it more comfortable. Okay, what we have is a foam down cushion, and they attempted to hand stitch this closed, which is fine. We typically staple it, but here in a couple of areas, the seam to close the down pockets has popped free. It's right here is an area, and and this is a big area. So it's been leaking down. So what I'm going to do about this is take this foam out. It's no good at all. And we're going to look at replacing it with proper size foam and some Dacron wrap on it on the inside, not on the outside like that. Sometimes shops will do it and try to just fill it out a little bit by putting a wrap on the outside, and that's really not the right way to do it. So what we're going to do is, take it out because it's right now it must be underfilled. The only issue I have is that I don't have the sofa here to know exactly how big to cut it, but I'm going to cut it for what I think it should to fit in this tick properly, and hopefully it should fit back in the cover. Well, I'm going to actually fit it for the cover itself, and then put it inside this tick. So. First, I want to find out what size foam should be in this cover. I can tell right now that this foam looks too thin to be with this boxing. One of the issues that comes with spring down or foam down, typically foam down, is that the customer tends to want something that's going to be softer and oozy, and that's what down's good for doing. So it's supposed to be a kind of a good, softer, sloppier cushion, but at the same time, these cushions should hold up where they don't look saggy and not even hold you up at all. So there's always been this compromise on how firm to make foam, how thick to make foam, how much Dacron to use in these things, and so on. So I have a system, and now on my typical cushions, let's say I cut my boxing 5 1/4, which finishes 4 1/4. I usually use a 5-inch foam, with a double crown and a wrap, which comes out really thick. And it's designed so that when you set on it for a while, because all Dacron will break down, and the foam, always use a good medium foam, because they're going to break down and soften up a little bit too. Now, we have in the past, experimented with what kind of foams to put in these and how thick. And in the old days, when we would put a 1/2 inch less foam and a little more Dacron. Well, not a lot of Dacron, just usually a wrap or a crown, because then you've got the down tick, and that's kind of the extra fill. Now, the idea with these is that once you set on them and kind of break them in, then the down gets more room to work. But a lot of these companies out the bat, when you walk in a store to try out furniture, you want it to be like you think it's going to be all the time. You want it right then. So they tend to put less in what they need. They'll make everything seem really nice at first, but once things break down, you end up with this mess. So I'm going to show you how I do this, what foam, how I know what size to cut that foam, and then I'll put some Dacron on it and we'll shove it back in this tick that's going to be sewed up again to lock down these down entrances, and you'll be able to see the difference. All right, I'm gonna have to crouch down here a little bit so you can kind of see the process here. But what I want to do is find how wide I need to cut my foam and how deep. Now, I always cut my foam the exact width that I think it needs to be, because when you're sticking these things in a sofa or love seat, if you have them protruding into each other, you're just gonna have cushions that sit and pop up and do this and all that and don't really want to sit together. So I always cut my foams exactly the same as the area I want to fill, and it'll have a little bit of Dacron over the edges to kind of fill it out and everything, but most of the extra you want to put in one is going to be in the front and back, so it'll squish in like that and tighten it up. And I always make my foam a 1/2 inch deeper than the cover. Now, where do I measure this? The last place you don't measure is right in the center, from front to back and from the center side to side, because these cushions have already been stretched out, and if I go by those measurements, they're going to be too big. But where less stretching happens is right about here, about a couple inches from the corner. I don't like to hit just on the corner because there's mitering involved and maybe some shortening due to the sewing and all that, and you'll probably end up guessing wrong. So to me, the best place to measure for the width is usually about 2 inches from the corners here. Now, if it's a cushion that is wider in the front than in the back, you do the same front and back. You'll measure 2 inches there, 2 inches there to get your size and then do your angle cuts. All right, let's find out what the width is here. I don't want to get over stretchy. So it's laying at 27 inches in between the seams, or at the seams. So I'm going to know to cut my foam 27 wide. Let's get the depth. So I'm going to measure about 2 inches in from each side here. It's right at 30 deep. So what I'm going to do is cut this foam 27 wide by 30.5 deep. Oh, and we still got the boxing. What we've come up with is 27 wide, 30.5 deep, and the boxing just now measured 5 1/4. And on this one, I'm going to do my foam at 5 1/2, just a little bigger, and then I'm going to put a crown on each side and a wrap, and then put it back inside this tick. Now, before we do this, why don't we take a look and see what the foam measured out that they had in here. They have 28.5 deep and 25 wide. So you can see the big discrepancy here as to why this cushion isn't filling out. Now their foam thickness is 5 inches, which is not horrible, but again, I always like to go just a little bit wider, if not right at the edge, what the boxing's edge is, just a quarter over if possible. So like I said, we're gonna go 5 1/2 where this is 5. The 5 wasn't horrible, as long as it was, the sizes were proper and maybe some Dacron on that, but they just shoved it in there just like this, which was very inadequate. Okay, I now have my new foam core right here. I've got my down tick here. I've closed up the ends real good that were leaking, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together, and then we'll be able to see a side-by-side comparison with the other cushion.